Hey, welcome to Fathering Our Future, the podcast for dads. I'm Anthony Vandagriff, and I'm not the perfect dad, but every day I am trying to be better. Thank you so much for being with me today. I hope you are doing fantastic. I have a question for you today. That is, what are you building? What are you building as a dad? And I'm talking about with your kids. What are you building? Now, this might not be a question that you've asked yourself. If it is, congratulations. Keep listening. If it's not, that's okay. Keep listening. And if you're thinking, it sounds like maybe I need to have young kids for this to be applicable to me, you're wrong. Keep listening. I'll talk to you towards the end. I'm asking you today, what are you building? Listen to this story and then the context of what I mean. I think it'll start to make sense. So there was a man who was visiting a downtown area, and he's just taking in the sights. He's loving it. He's loving all the architecture, all the buildings. He's loving it. Well, he notices that a ways up in front of him, there's this empty lot where they're starting new construction. As he gets closer, he sees someone working, and the closer he gets, the more he can see about this worker, and he notices that he's kind of moving slow, that he's grumbling underneath his breath, and he doesn't appear to be having the best day. In spite of that, he walks up to him and says, "Excuse me, sir, can you tell me what you're doing?" The worker just kind of glances down at his feet, never makes eye contact, and he says, "I'm laying bricks." So the gentleman gets the hint and keeps on moving. He rounds the corner, and he's looking at the other side of this new development, and he notices that there's another worker a little bit down the way. And he can tell as he's getting closer to this worker that this guy's doing a lot better than the other guy. He's moving a lot faster. He's getting closer, and then he can hear that he's actually whistling. He's smiling. And as he gets closer to worker number two, the worker actually turns and greets him, says, "Hey, how you doing?" And he's like, "Well, I'm doing really great. Thanks for asking. Can I ask you what you're doing?" And worker number two didn't say he was laying bricks. He said, "I'm building a beautiful cathedral that's going to serve and impact this community." That's the power of perspective. You can be doing the same thing as somebody else, and you might just think you're laying bricks, but someone else can be doing exactly what you're doing, and they can see the big picture. They can see the end result of their labor. And that is what I'm asking you today. What are you building? When it comes to fatherhood, are you simply laying bricks? Are you just trying to go through the routine and the motions and get everything over with and say, "I did what I was supposed to do as a dad. Now it's time for me to have my time back"? If that's what you're doing, you're missing a tremendous opportunity as a dad. We have this privilege as dads to impact the future. I didn't come up with the name Fathering Our Future just because it sounded cool. It literally is what we are doing in the home with our kids, what we invest into them, what we do with them, what we are building out of them. This is an opportunity to impact the future. These are going to be the people who are the CEOs. They're going to be the lawyers. They're going to be the lawmakers. They're going to be the influencers in the years to come, and people will look to them. So they are the future. So what are you building? First of all, don't be the dad who's just laying bricks. You don't really care about what you're doing. You're just going through the mundane monotony of fatherhood, and you're just trying to get through it. You wake up, you go to work, you come home, you do the obligatory good nights, I love you. You sit on the couch, you fall asleep, you wake up and you repeat. Don't do that. Don't be that guy. You're not doing anything. You are wasting an opportunity. And whether or not you realize it, by doing that, you still build something. It's typically not great when it's complete. It might have some problems, might have a couple leaks, if you know what I'm talking about. But that is your work. That is your labor on display. It is a representation of who you are. Now, you can't take that too far, because some people are just trying to build trophies that go on their personal shelves. Sometimes we run with certain people, our circles look a particular way. I imagine this happens a lot with those who are wealthier, those who have, this family history of everyone in the family's gone to Harvard and everyone's been a lawyer, for the last 4 or 5 generations. So that's exactly what you're going to do. You're not going to shame me as your dad by choosing a different profession that's, not worthy of the society in which we find ourselves. Do not limit your kid to doing exactly what you want them to do because you want to look good. That is selfishness. That is saying, I just want another trophy for my shelf. That's it. This is about me. I want people to look at me and say, wow, your kid turned out really good. They're doing really big things. I heard about this. I heard about that. Congratulations. You did a great job. Oh, thank you. I know. I'm such a fantastic, wonderful dad. Don't be that guy. Because what you're doing is you're probably creating some bitterness in your kid. Yeah, maybe they'll have a nice, easy life financially, but I don't think we understand fully the emotional problems that we can create when we do that, when we take away the will and the freedom of our kids and we force them and mandate that they do what we want them to do as far as their career. We take away that spirit that they have and we say, no, you're going to do this. Maybe to some extent, there's some direction that you can provide, but to force and mandate that, I would just, if you find yourself in that place, think about it and really ask yourself the question, what am I building by doing this? Am I doing this for them, or am I doing this so that people will look at me and say, wow, what great kids you have? Just ask yourself the question. Another thing that we can do as dads, especially with boys, is we can try and build ourselves all over again. Especially if you were an athlete in a particular sport. Let's just take basketball because I like basketball. Say you were pretty good, but you didn't make it pro. You have a boy and you're excited because they're going to play basketball. One, you want to play basketball with them, but two, it might become this obsession to where you were trying to make them everything that you were plus a little extra so that they can make it, so that you can glory in who they are as if they're your little junior mini-me. Don't do that because, again, that is selfish. Again, you're stifling their freedom. Again, you are making this about you and not allowing them to have the freedom of who they want to be as your son. You can do this with daughters too. It's just this mainly happens with fathers and their sons. So I'm asking you what you're building. Don't build something that you want to build out of selfishness, and don't be the dad who just lays bricks. See the end result. I think sometimes with our kids, once they get to a particular age and we see their interest, we can know this is what they're going to be. And once you have that knowledge, aid that. Be a part of that journey. Help them to accomplish their desire and their goal. If you've got a kid who's super entrepreneurial, then help him or help her when they're trying to do certain things. If they're going out and they're trying to make a lemonade stand, man, you make sure that they have the greatest lemonade stand possible. If they're going out and they're trying to sell, if they're trying to create a product and then sell it, help them. Ask if you can help. I know people who have had a desire in a particular area, but the dad and the mom didn't approve of it. The dad really didn't approve of it and kind of shut it down. And then it didn't get to happen. And it created more problems than it should have created. But there's no reason to stifle that when it could have been successful and it was something that the son was actually passionate about. So don't do that. Be a part of who they are. We talked about this a few episodes back. You're going to have to let go and you're going to have to let them be who they're going to be. Why not be a part of that process? You have the opportunity to be a part of the end result. So be a part of the end result. You are making something. You are a part of this beautiful construction. Be a part of it. I mean, the reality is some of us, we are raising kids who will be the president of the United States of America. Some of us are raising kids who will be doctors. These people will save lives in the future. Some of them will be lawmakers. Some of them will be lawyers. Some of them will be high-ranking executives. They're going to start businesses. They're going to come up with new ideas that innovate the world. That is who you are parenting. That's who you are raising. You have this wonderful opportunity. I think about this with politicians and with lawmakers and even with lawyers. They always get this bad rap that, they're liars, they're cheats, all this fun stuff. Why not raise your kids to do the things that they like to do, but instill some values in them along the way? So even if your kid's not going to be one of these, great, occupations, if they're not going to have some great occupation that people actually like to look up to, maybe they're going to be a janitor, okay? Instill core values in them, like honesty and kindness and love and compassion, just all around goodness, so that if they are a janitor and they happen to find something while they're cleaning whatever facility they clean, that they turn it in rather than saying, I'm going to keep this for myself. Raise them to do things that are right. That's going to make an impact. That's going to be better off for them in the long run. You are never wrong to do the right thing. You are never wrong to do the right thing, and you have the opportunity to instill that in your children. So what are you building? Think about it. If you're not trying to build your kids so that they are people of character, so that they are people who are honest, so that they are people who love others and who are kind to others regardless of what they look like, that's a big thing. That's what we need. We need people who are going to love other people, that are going to impact their community, that are going to serve one another. And you have the opportunity as a dad to build that into your kids. Now, for those of you who have kids who are out of the house, and you think, well, maybe I missed my opportunity. It's okay. If you're a homeowner, you know this to be true. Sometimes you look at your house and you think, you know what? Time to do some remodeling. And that's okay. We get to do that ourselves. Hopefully you change year after year. You should be, because that means you're growing and developing as an individual, but you still have the opportunity to do this with your kids. If they look at you and they see change in your life, one, it will inspire them to say, Dad used to not be this way. Why did he start doing this? Why did he start acting this way? Why did he start treating different people this way when he didn't treat them that way before? Okay, so when you do certain things, you are creating this change in your kids, even though they're out of the house. They still see you, they still look to you because you're always their dad, and you have this influence on them. So use it. So work on yourself, and it will benefit your kids. But even outside of working on yourself, conversations are a great thing to have. You can have conversations with your kids, and you can say, look, you remember this? I went about this the wrong way. And I recognize that in hindsight. And sometimes it's an apology. Sometimes it's just conversation of, I learned something, and you're just sharing that information, because they're going to take that and they're going to think about it. And as they think about it, they're going to process it, and then they're going to make some decisions for themselves based off what you share with them. So you have this opportunity, but let me caution you of this. If you think, I did some things wrong as a dad, there's some changes that I need to try and make in my kids, just go about it slowly. Go about it with some wisdom. Don't try and completely turn the ship, just in an instant. It takes some time, especially, since I do home remodeling. When you're working on your own house, it's one of those things where you want to take your time and you want to do it bit by bit. You don't want to completely displace yourself and create this additional chaos and change that you have to try and navigate so that you can continue living. You take it a little bit at a time. You do one room at a time, and you make sure that you can still function and get around, and it's relatively harmless when you're doing all the remodeling. just use that piece of wisdom and advice. If you're going to work on your kids, they're out of the house, they're a little bit older, but you need to correct some things that maybe you didn't do right. Just remember, it takes time. You've got time. Utilize it. So the question that I want you to think about, because I'm not telling you exactly what to do, I'm just giving you some advice, I'm giving you some perspective, some input. You have to do the hard work. The question is, what are you building? So take some time today and think about it. Think about what you've been intentional about as a dad with your kids as far as building them up into the person that they need to be, the person that this world needs them to be. You can instill things and build things in them like character. You can teach them right from wrong. You can teach them that they're never wrong to do the right thing. You can teach them to be good to others. You can display to them what it's like to be a giver. You can teach them these incredible values and attributes that are going to help them regardless of where they end up in their future. Maybe they're a janitor. Maybe they are, maybe they never have their own business. Maybe they work with someone and they just cut lawns. Maybe that's all they do. Maybe they do something that is highly esteemed. It doesn't matter what they end up doing. It just matters that you've built something that instills hope, change, and impact for the world to come. That ought to be your mission. That ought to be your goal. That should be what you have as the end sight, as the end picture of what you're building. You're not just laying bricks. You're building something that's going to impact and serve the community. So think about that, because you have the opportunity as a dad to do something that's going to have a huge impact on the future. So, what are you building? This is Fathering Our Future, the podcast for dads. I'm Anthony Vandagriff. Thank you so much for being with me, and I hope you'll join me next time. Hey, thanks for watching today's episode. I hope it has blessed you and challenged you to strive to be a better dad every day. And if you'd like more great content like this, just subscribe to the channel. Also, if you think dads are valuable and essential to the family, consider supporting this effort. Just go to fatheringourfuture.com and click support. Every contribution helps and it's greatly appreciated. Thank you for being a part of Fathering Our Future.